perform like Bradley Cooper in the movie Limitless? Well, every entrepreneur out there does, but there is this one thing holding them back from doing so. That one thing is called brain fog. You won't achieve optimal performance if you're held back by brain fog. And you think you're doing everything right, you're working out, you are eating healthy, you are trying to take care of yourself, but still you feel like there is something holding you back and they're not tapping into your fullest potential when it comes to your energy, focus, and overall performance. By experiencing brain fog, you're going to work slower, you're going to be experiencing inability in focus, and everything is going to be more difficult. So before I dive deeper into actionable tips that you can apply to cure brain fog and have amazing performance, I would like to explain what brain fog is. So brain fog is characterized by confusion, forgetfulness, and lack of focus and mental clarity. Brain fog is generally caused by inflammation in your body, but especially in your brain. Here are some common symptoms of brain fog: fatigue, low energy, irritability, inability to focus, poor working memory and executive function, poor ability to memorize things, impaired ability to process new information, delayed processing speed, confusion, low motivation, mental confusion, and racing thoughts. Another thing when it comes to brain fog, it causes imbalances in your limbic system. Brain fog is essentially caused by an issue in the brain in the area responsible for executive and cognitive function, as well as emotional balance. So what is limbic system? Limbic system is responsible for your wakefulness, appetite, mood, motivation, body warmth, gut flow, and gut health, metabolism, blood pressure, emotional regulation, executive function, and memory. If you're, for example, experiencing a lot of fatigue, anxiety, depression, insomnia, circadian rhythm issues, you have lower motivation, suppressed appetite, you're losing weight way too fast, you're procrastinating on your task every single day, you even have some visual problems, then you are probably having issues with your limbic system. So these are some symptoms that you can always look at. So there are some triggers that cause brain fog, and every one of those triggers can cause inflammation or long-term damage and changes in the brain, which are responsible for brain fog. So those could be sleep problems, toxins, infections, anxiety and chronic stress, lectins and inflammatory agents in the plant, PTSD or very stressful event, night shift work and circadian disruptions, lack of exercise, imbalanced hormones, or not getting enough light and sun throughout the day. These triggers that I mentioned are most common causes and the reasons why entrepreneurs experience brain fog. In this video, I'm going to be mostly focused on nutrition and what you put into your body. The most common reason for you experiencing brain fogs are lectins and food insensitivities. If you get brain fog after eating, you need to pay attention to your diet and what you are consuming on a daily basis. When people consume foods that cause inflammation, they immediately get brain fog, and they have brain fog for the rest of the day, as well as maybe for the day after that. Usually brain fog comes from poor diet and high glucose levels. So let's take a closer look at nutrition. Okay, so here is what fogs your brain. Number 1, sugars, artificial sweeteners, as well as high fructose corn syrup. Number 2, too many inflammatory foods, processed foods, junk food, unhealthy fats, many artificial ingredients and preservatives, and conventionally grown meat. And lastly, number 3, imbalance between omega-3 and omega-6. Okay, so let's start with artificial sweeteners. One of the most common artificial sweetener that you can find usually in sugar-free sodas or foods is called aspartame. And aspartame, as you can see based on the study that I'll link in the screen right here, is that aspartame acts as a chemical stressor by elevating plasma cortisol levels and causing the production of excess free radicals, which is the cause of inflammation. And inflammation results in brain fog. So high cortisol levels and excess free radicals may increase the brain's vulnerability to oxidative stress, which may have adverse effect on neurobehavioral health. There are different types of artificial sweeteners, but if they're not natural, like for example honey, monk fruit, or stevia, I would avoid them at all costs because they're very harmful for your body as well as for your brain. Instead of drinking and consuming these artificial sweeteners, choose something that is with real food, like whole foods and fruits, and it's using the healthier sweeteners. They're natural and they are not harming your body. Okay, next one we have inflammatory foods. And when it comes to inflammatory foods, you can usually find them in trans fats. Trans fats are created by chemically altering the structure of unsaturated fats to give them processed foods for a longer shelf life. Another inflammatory food is artificial sweeteners, which we covered. Then we have highly processed foods like fries, burgers, and then also processed meats, and then also ultra-processed foods. So ultra-processed foods are often marked in the supermarket as healthy, organic, and good for you snacks or whatever that you're trying to buy. You can also find them with labels such as low-fat, sugar-free, full of real fruit and cheese, or real ingredients inside. So when you see these labels, you know that you need to avoid them at all costs, because if the food, for example, broccoli or apple, you don't see a label saying that this fruit or this vegetable is healthy. Well, of course not, because you know it by heart. But if you see, for example, snacks, gluten-free pastries, dressings, ice cream, ham sausages, fruit-flavored yogurts, canned foods, or pre-cooked rice and quinoa, and if you see them as healthy, organic, good for you with real ingredients inside, then you need to be cautious and you want to avoid them at all costs. So what you can do instead is to buy and prefer whole foods. So don't try to find pre-packed meals and foods and snacks that have a lot of ingredients inside. Just buy whole foods and you can cook them and mix them together. Next one, we have carbohydrates, sugar, and blood sugar. Blood sugar has a huge bearing on our brain chemistry, and the foods you eat can either spike your blood sugar levels or they can induce sugar crashes and rashes that would leave you feel foggy. Fluctuations between your blood sugar is one of the biggest causes for brain fog, and you need to be careful about what you eat. Constant highs and lows in our blood sugar makes us not only gain weight, but also they're disrupting our brain chemistry, which is essential for thriving and for overall performance and cognitive performance. I don't want you to think that carbs are bad and that you should avoid them at all costs. Instead, there are different types of carbs, just like with fats I'm going to cover later in this video. There are different types of carbs that you want to prioritize, and you prioritize them based on their glycemic index. The glycemic index gives an approximate measure of how much carbohydrate in a food raises your body's blood glucose levels, and carbs with high glycemic index will raise your blood sugar significantly, and carbs with low glycemic index will not. This means that you will have more stable energy throughout the day and you won't experience any crashes. And one last thing that you need to remember when it comes to carbs is that they can actually be your best friend, because carbs, especially glucose, is needed for your cells and for your muscles and for overall being, as well as your brain to function properly. That's why when you're experiencing brain fog and you feel tired, you probably feel like you want to snack on something sweet or starchy, like for example chips. And so when it comes to carbs and low glycemic index, there are for example berries and small seeds. When it comes to carbs with medium glycemic index, you can find basmati rice and bananas, for example. And carbs in high glycemic index, there are usually cookies, candy, cake, and pasta. And last one, we have fats. Maybe you've heard this before, that fat is bad, fat will kill you, or that fat will make you fat, right? But it's actually not true. Just like with carbs, not all fats are created equal. And fats, especially the healthy types of fats, they're very essential for your body and for your brain, because they're full of omega-3s as well as a lot of anti-inflammatory properties that you want to consume on a daily basis to ensure that you're not experiencing brain fog, but also that you're working and performing optimally every single day. There are several different types of omega-3s, but let's talk about the main two ones. The most important one is called DHA, which is primarily associated with cognition. The second one is EPA, which is connected with mood. You can think of DHA as a think better omega-3, and you can think of EPA as a feel good omega-3. And both of them you can usually find in seafood and fish. Like omega-3s, omega-6 are also essential for you, which means that your body cannot produce it on its own, which means that you have to get them from your food and supplement only when you need it. Omega-3s and omega-6 have complementary functions in the body and the brain. Omega-3s have actually anti-inflammatory properties, whereas omega-6, they promote inflammation. Ideal omega-6 to omega-3 ratio should be about 2:1. Don't try to get your daily intake of omega-6 from processed foods like, for example, junk food and fries, as well as like vegetable oils, because this is where omega-6 is found. You want to opt for healthier choices like, for example, chicken, avocado, different types of nuts and seeds. I will put this picture on the screen. There are different types of foods and you can just go through this table and see which are extremely high in omega-6 and which are moderate and low, so you can prioritize those. Yeah, that's everything for today's video about brain fog. And if you apply everything that I just mentioned in this video, you're going to actually have a proven path to improving your nutrition and combating brain fog as a byproduct. So if you liked it, hit a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel. If you have any questions about brain fog, you can let me know in the comments below, or you can reach me on Instagram, link is in the description. I appreciate you watching and I'll see you in the next one.